What's going on, Falcon fan? This your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video, a live video. And guys, today is so exciting because guess what? We're about less than a week away for the rookies showing up to training camp. That's right, the rookies show up on the 18th and the veterans show up on the 25th. And you guys know the training camp starts later that week, around the 27th. So you got to be excited about it. We're going to talk about days, so many good things that we can get into when we talk about training camp, the preview, and some of the burning questions that everybody wants to know. And we're going to guess what? When training camp starts, when preseason starts, we're going to get a lot of answers before the season kicks off. So I can't wait. I'm so excited about it. Today, guys, but we're going to talk about 4 or 5 topics. One topic I'm going to end with a topic about Desmond Ritter because he's been the topic of this discussion today on Twitter about him. Guys, people still not believing in Desmond Ritter, and we're going to talk about it today and why the Falcons, have the belief, and really at the end of the day, that's where it really matters. So, um, that's where I'm gonna end this to talk about today about Desmond Ritter. But guys, let's go ahead and get into my first topic today. And my first topic today, um, you know, when you think about it, you gotta put things together, and we want to make sure that everybody is going to be coming back health. So my first topic today is going to be the health of the team, right? So that's my first topic today. We thinking about guys like a Kyle Pitts. We have not seen Kyle Pitts all offseason program. We know Kyle Pitts got hurt around November, um, MCL injury, been out a long time. Did not see him all offseason. Arthur Smith said he was not worried. He was going to be ready for training camp. So the first question I'm going to be looking for and see if Kyle Pitts is on the field and how he looks and if he's ready to go. Um, I feel like he's going to be good. I think they was just using the off-season time for precautionary purposes, making sure that Kyle Pitts was going to be ready to go. But that's going to be my first question about Kyle Pitts is he's actually going to be um, ready to go for this team. So that's one of my definitely questions: the health of the team, where Kyle Pitts is. Kyle Pitts going to be ready to go. Also, Eddie Goldman, another guy that been decided to retire last year. Actually missed the COVID season. Haven't played a lot of football, in the last couple of years. So Eddie Goldman, what does he look like? Is he ready to play? They also utilize precautionary measures with him as well to make sure that he was back ready, back in football shape, ready to go. But if Eddie Goldman can come back and do some of the things that he was doing with the Chicago Bears, that's just going to fortify that depth on that defensive line. So really, guys like Eddie Goldman, guys like Kyle Pitts, that's definitely some of the things I'm really going to be looking for is the health of the team and looking at guys like a Kyle Pitts, like a Eddie Goldman. So guys, let me know what you think about that. Also, guys, make sure you go out and subscribe to this channel. Please hit the notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys right here I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So that's the number one thing. Definitely gonna be looking at the health. Arthur Smith doesn't have to, update us every day on about the health of the team, especially this time of the year. But definitely we want to see if we can see some Kyle Pitt highlights, see if he's ready to go, see if he's 100% from the jump. If they got to ramp him back up and things like that. Um, like I said, we have not seen Kyle Pitts all off season, so definitely him and Eddie Goldman is going to be my first look to see where Kyle Pitts and a guy like Eddie Goldman is going to be. The next topic, guys, I think everybody, is looking out for this topic, and definitely it's the camp battles. It's so many different camp battles that you can kind of consider and think about where guys going to be lined up One of the most interesting things about this year's camp, though, is the fact that the other 2 seasons under this regime, they had a lot of rookies. They had a lot of undrafted guys coming in, trying to make the roster, and it was a lot of uncertainty about some of the positions and some of the depth one 1 through 3 even in some spots. This year, where it's a little different, they had a lot of veterans that they brought in, a lot of guys that's on going in their second and third seasons. So it's not many undrafted guys, and not a lot of open spaces that you really can think about. This is where the regime have started to fill out their own guys, building rosters and things like that. And now you're just looking at the back end of the 53-man roster and seeing who these guys going to be to kind of make the squad. However, in some positions, it's definitely going to be interesting to see because there's some veterans in positions that you can say their job is not secure as well. One count battle position that you definitely want to look at is that cornerback position. So many cornerbacks that they brought in during the off seasons. A lot of veterans as well. Look at a guy like Jeff Okuda, who should be the number 2 um, on the other side of AJ Terrell, but they brought in a guy like Trey Flowers. They brought in Mike Hughes. They brought back Cornell Armstrong. We know that Darren Hall is going his 3rd season. Also, Dee Alford, who I really like a whole lot, and the way he came on being undrafted last year. And then our Clark Phillips, our rookie cornerback that we drafted as well. So all those guys, and it's going to be interesting to see from a cornerback position how many cornerbacks the Atlanta Falcons decide to keep. Right, you got to think about that because you think about cornerbacks, you got to think about every other position on this team, and that's when you start getting into the number games and things like that or how many defensive lines you mean you're gonna keep, how many offensive line, to the quarterbacks, to the running backs, to the tight ends, and to the receivers. Right, you have to look at every position and decide at because you're gonna actually lose some good players, and they definitely get poached from other teams because if you're so deep at a position and you decide to let some of those guys go, definitely you could consider putting some of those guys on practice squad, but more than likely if any other team like them, in the off-season process, they're definitely going to pick them up and bring them onto their roster. So the count battle, especially for the cornerback position, is definitely going to be interesting. If you go back to my roster breakdown that I did earlier, I think I had 7 cornerbacks, and I pretty much just kept um, all the guys that they brought in. I think only guy I kind of left off was Cardinal Armstrong, which means that's like 7 guys. Really don't think they're going to in the cornerback. So it's going to be interesting to see who um, is going to be left out. And maybe it could be a guy like Darren Hall. I'm not 100% sure, but going to be interesting to see what they decide to do at that cornerback position. Another count battle position that we definitely need to think about and definitely consider is the offensive line. I think every spot is pretty much solidified except that left guard position. And we know during off season they actually had Matt Hennessy playing that left guard. He ended the season playing left guard as well. But we also know that the Atlanta Falcons went out and drafted offensive lineman Matthew Bergeron, who they anticipate is going to be the left guard of the future, and have some opportunity to move out to left tackle as well. Once Jake Matthews' career, could be over with the Atlanta Falcons. So that count battle is definitely going to be interesting. I think Matthew Bergeron has a little bit more upside than Matt Hennessy, but he's not going to just be given the spot. He's going to have to go out and earn it. Um, but in my opinion, if Matthew Bergeron get his opportunity, which I'm really certain that he will, he's going to be able to show that he has all the capability of being our left guard of the future and to start the season. So you also have to remember that Arthur Smith is not going to go out and rush Matthew Bergeron. So if he's not ready, um, really not a big deal. You really want him to contribute this year because he is a second round pick. The Atlanta Falcons moved up to actually go get him. So hopefully, um, Matthew Bergeron can actually come in and win the position right, and we don't have to worry about that. But at the same time, you want to make sure that we don't have a repeat of what we had with Jalen Mayfield, right? Coming out and not being ready to go. And that could be a guy that could be on the bubble. This year we did hear that he had moved over to playing some right guard behind Chris Lindstrom, and also playing some right tackle. So, you know, Jalen Mayfield probably had one foot in, one foot out. To try to recoup his career. We know last year he went down with a back injury, so he could not actually um, have a chance to show that how much progress that he had made from year one to year two. So this is going to be a big training camp for Jalen Mayfield. But that offensive line, I really like guys they got there. Bringing back a guy like Caleb McGarry, um, tying up Chris Lindstrom for a long time. The question mark could be at our center position, but I really believe that they love our center right now. Of course, he was one of their drafted guys, Drew Dahlman. Um, really got a whole season up on the center. So um, that hopefully that jump that he's going to make should be good. Hopefully, don't snap the ball all over the place. Make sure we have clean snaps and things like that. But if you go look at Drew Dahlman when he was doing combo blocks alongside the guards, it looked really good, especially in the run game. Had trouble in pass game, but like I said, that full season being up on the center, hopefully it paid dividends for him. He can go out and work on some of his weak spots that he had. And Drew Dahlman does have that bloodline, playing because his father played in NFL. So maybe that's what the Atlanta Falcons see in him. And the reason why, they haven't went out and got a veteran center, a guy like Ben Jones or something like that. So, but the offensive line, in my opinion, is really, really solidified. Just we need to go ahead and solidify that left guard position. And in my stake, I'm taking Matthew Bergeron to win out that position in the count battles. Another position that we want to talk about when we think about count battles is definitely the wide receiver position. I'm pretty sure we all feel like three of the positions probably already locked up, and that will be Drake London, Matt Hollins, and Scotty Miller, which leaves about two more rosters. I'm thinking they're probably going to keep five receivers on the roster, really because I look at Cardell Patterson playing a little bit more receiver this year, lining up in that slot. So if you look at, his versatility, being able to play running back and receiver, it allows them not to keep so many receivers on the 53-man roster. So it's going to be interesting to see who actually um, they decide to go with there. Do they go a guy like Josh Ali? I know if you go back to a couple of videos, I kept mentioning Josh Ali when I was talking about offensive alignment, and I meant Joshua Miles. So if anybody recall that, I kept mentioning Josh Ali. Josh Ali is a receiver, not a offensive lineman. So that's one of the things definitely that I just wanted to get corrected, because I went back and listened to it, and I kept saying Josh Ali when I was talking about offensive lineman. I meant Joshua Miles. So just wanted to go ahead and get that out. We got somebody say, love the hat, nice touch. Yeah, I had to switch it up a little bit. I wanted to go um, with a little flavor today. Like I said, this we getting close to training camp, and I'm starting to get really excited about it. So appreciate that. Talk about the hat. But like I said, when we talking about count battles, we talking about the wide receiver position. A lot of guys they brought in Penny Hart, um, JJ Ortega Whiteside, another guy they brought in. A couple guys from the XFL they brought in. So it's gonna be that battle is gonna be interesting. It just depends on what kind of direction that Arthur Smith want to go in, because we already got a couple of big body receivers and a guy like Drake London and Mac Hollins, right? We already got a burner and Scotty Miller. So just it's interesting to see where Arthur Smith decided to go with the receiver position. We know that another guy that they was talked about. I don't really think they gave it a lot of thought. Was Jarvis Landry coming in, another guy that could consider bringing into camp, but we haven't heard anything else about that. But for as receivers, I think they have enough guys here to give those guys an opportunity, a chance to see what they're able to do. So really going to be interested to see about that wide receiver um, position. Looking forward to seeing Desmond Ritter off this season progress. Yep, just wait to the end because we're going to get into Desmond. Um, like I said, he's pretty hot topic on Twitter today, so we're going to talk about Desmond Ritter and just clear the air and find out why people still don't want to give him his opportunity to be able to do some things. Um, Talked about the receivers, talked about the offensive line, the left guard position. Talked about the cornerbacks, right, for camp battles. Another one, which is not as big. It's the safety position. Who's going to be that fourth safety? Of course, right now we got J.C. Bates, who's going to be that quarterback or that defensive backfield for us. Of course, Richard Grant, who I believe might have his best season because he's going to be able to play closer to the line of scrimmage where he really excels at. He's a great tackler, great blitzer, great run defender. So I love Richard Grant being there to play a little bit closer to the line of scrimmage. I think he could definitely have a breakout season this year. Then we got Jalen Hawkins that definitely, hopefully, he could kind of find his niche. Jalen Hawkins is a really athletic guy, makes a lot of plays, all the way around the ball, create turnovers and things like that. So hopefully he can definitely flash this year. He's in the contract season, so it's going to be interesting to see what Jalen Hawkins is going to be able to do and who's going to be that fourth safety. I feel like they're going to keep four safeties. Um, it's Helm's going to be able to make the roster. The 7th-round pick from Alabama. It's Abernathy, another guy that they brought in that got a lot of playing time. Not a playing time, but got a lot of snaps. When Jesse Bates, did not show up for OTAs and things like that. So that safety position, that fourth safety, where do they start to go? We know a guy like Helms definitely can play a lot of special teams. He was the leading tackler for the University of Alabama, so he has great opportunity to make the roster because just what he'll be able to do for the special teams. A lot of people don't believe that special teams are important, but it's a lot of guys in the NFL have played a lot of seasons just for what they're able to do from a special team standpoint. So can actually make her NFL career for being a solid special teams player. So, and a lot of 7th-rounders, guys, that's where they, make their mark. Look at a guy like Shannon Sharp, who's a Hall of Famer. He was drafted in the 7th round. So, um, you and he actually made a play on special teams. We got him on the roster. You go back and look, big tackle coming down the field, and I think before that play, he probably was on the cut list, but they like his physicality and what they say. The rest is history, right? So make the special teams any way you can. That's why a guy like Frank Darby has still been sticking around so many seasons because of his play on special teams. A guy like Cardell Hodge, another guy that could have the leg up on that receiver room because of his ability to play on special teams. So special teams is definitely good. So a guy like DeMarco Helms definitely have opportunity to make this team, make that fourth safety position because of what he's able to do on special teams. Um, Three Dirty says, with the receivers that we have tight ends also Arthur Smith playbook be deeper than we think. Yes. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna talk about this in just a minute, but um, if you go back and look at season 1 on Arthur Smith, the offense was different than it was in season 2, and I really believe it's gonna be even more different and in this year as well. A lot of people think coaches don't go out and change, um, their playbook and what they do a lot, but I think it's really based on the personnel that you have because, um, you have to slim it down based off who you got up on the center. Like a guy like Matt Ryan, with limited mobility, he's a more of a pocket passer, so you can't call everything you would call on you got like a more mobile quarterback, right? And then your personnel and your passing game, receivers and things like that. So I really believe that the offense is definitely going to be different this year. So good call on that with their positions. Um, Giving reports game say, yeah, Frank being a high energy guy too. Yeah, man, everybody love Frank Darby's energy. It really um that's another way to make the team right. Just being energetic. You look at a guy like Steven Means. You know, a lot of people call him a cheerleader. Of course, he had some some big plays for us as well while he was here. But just getting the guys motivated, pumping the guys up, being a good teammate can definitely they can find a spot for you on this team as well. I guess that's why Arthur Smith loved Felipe Frank so. He must be a great teammate because he really haven't contributed a lot. But somehow Felipe Franks always make the roster, right? It's gonna be interesting this year because I don't think they have a spot for a guy like Felipe. Um, it has to be. We need to have good balance in the passing game and running game. That's 100% correct. All right, guys. But the last count battle I want to talk about, which is really, interesting me because I'm comfortable with the position, but at the same time, I felt like they maybe could have brought in another veteran here. And I'm talking about the linebacker position and talking about inside linebackers, not the outside, of course. But, I'm really comfortable with Troy Anderson, Caden Ellis, and Michael Walker. But behind those guys, um, I don't have a lot of confidence in some of those guys. They're going to be there. A guy like Doran Etheridge, who's been here a couple of seasons with the Atlanta Falcons, really shine in preseason for us. Maybe this is the year that he can, get up to the 53-man roster and make some plays. They brought back Nate Landman as well, another guy. Then, of course, the veterans they brought in, special team aces they brought in Andre Smith, and I can't recall the other guy, but they did bring in two veteran guys that's special team aces as well. Like I said, special teams is a big thing. But the linebacker position is one of the ones that really going to be interesting to see how that pan out. Um, I keep thinking about a guy like D'Angelo Malone um, that has that size to play inside linebacker, but he has never really did anything like that in college. What he did last season for Dean Pease, really explosive. But I'm just trying to find a way to get him more playing time on the field the field because that outside pass rush position is so deep for us this year. Bringing in a guy like Bud Dupree and bringing back Lorenzo Carter as well. I don't want to you know I won't have D'Angelo Malone be able to improve throughout the season. So he could be a guy because of his size. They could think about moving inside. When I talked about the 4-2-5 that the New Orleans Aints ran a lot, up under Ryan Nielsen and things like that. He could play that rover, that sound position. Um, Not sure how well he is in coverage though. So that's one of the things we definitely have to consider. But that linebacker position for me is one of the ones that I'm really going to be interested in watching in training camp because I want to know who's going to be that fourth guy coming up behind Michael Walker to solidify the inside linebacker position. So that's one of the things I'm definitely going to be looking at. Uh, Given the game sports talk said who would be the starters at linebacker. For me, I think it's going to be um, Kane Ellis and Troy Anderson inside. On outside, I, I guess it depends on what they run. If they run in 4-3, I think the end's going to be, of course, Calais Campbell's going to be on one end, and on the other end, Every Katie or Lorenzo Carter. I'm not 100% sure who will be on the other end. Both of those guys played the run well, but you know we took Armor Katie in the second round, and he was so close to getting there. I would love to see his progression, see him get better this year. So on the other end, if we run it at 4-3, I would say Armor Katie will be on the other side, and of course Calais Campbell will be the other end on the strong side. So Ebikadi on the weak side, Calais Campbell on the strong side. Both of those guys played run. If you go back and look at what Calais Campbell did when he was with Jacksonville playing the end, that's probably some of his best um, games of his career. Of course, he was younger then, but that's what I think the Atlanta Falcons told him he was going to be able to play a lot of on the end. Um, and I and so I believe he's going to be that end on the strong side, and a guy like Armor Ebiketie will be the end on the weak side for us. Yep. So you can see those four. Yep. Those that's just what I think. But you know what? That's why we're going to camp. We're going to see it all, guys. We're going to find out um what these guys going to be actually doing. So, guys, those really my camp battles that I really got right now. It's pretty much the whole team, right? We think about it. I talked about the offensive line. I talked about the the cornerbacks. I talked about the safeties. I talked about the linebackers. Talked about the receivers. Then talk about defensive line because I don't really think it's a competition there, but it's going to be competitions about who's going to make the 53-man roster. Um, Other than that, um, that's that's one of the things that is really going to be interesting to see. All right, my next topic that I really want to get into today is, and we just talked about it just a little bit, is the new look offense. And yes, I believe that the Atlanta Falcons is going to look different than they looked the first two seasons up on Arthur Smith. Um, Simply one reason, of course, the main reason would be because of the quarterback who's on the center. Of course, you go like I said, if you go the first season, you had Matty Ice, veteran guy. Um, don't seen it all, but not just a straight up pocket passer. Don't have a lot of mobility. So Arthur Smith have to call the game a little bit different. If you notice, the run game was really not that good that season. Passing game was a little bit better, but Matt Ryan really only had two um, quality guys to go to, and that was Kyle Pitts and Cordell Patterson in that season. If you guys recall, Calvin really decided to only play 5 games, so we did not have his services in that first season. Then you go to last season. Of course, we had a more mobile quarterback and Marcus Mariota. Passing game was pretty much non-existent, but the running game was just off the charts. I think they finished fourth in rushing, um, offense over the season. So you can't expect more of that. And one reason because of a guy like Bijan Robinson, of course, our 1,000-yard running back and Tyler Algier as well. But also, I think you're going to be able to see a little different because I think Arthur Smith have a little bit more confidence when passing the ball with Desmond Ritter. Desmond Ritter um, excelled what he excelled in college is definitely throwing the ball um, through seams, um, crossing routes, middle of the field. He has the ability to read off play action and things like that. Of course, one of the big knocks was his accuracy. So if he can work on that, which all young quarterbacks have to work on things like that, um, I think Desmond Ritter is just going to be just fine in this offense. But the new look, what I mean, you got guys like Bijan Robinson coming to the fold. Um, you got a guy like Jonnu Smith, who people keep forgetting about, and I think that's an underrated signing for the Atlanta Falcons. That trade is something really huge that's going to pay dividends for the Atlanta Falcons. Looking at a guy like Jonnu Smith because he's an ultra athlete, so you got another athlete on the team to go along with guys like Drake London, Bijan Robinson, and Kyle Pitts. Um, Jonnu Smith, Arthur Smith knows how to utilize him. Utilize him so many different ways when he's with Tennessee. If you go back and look um, on reverses, had him running out the backfield. He was a great weapon in the red zone as well. So Jonnu Smith definitely going to be somebody we could utilize, and take the pressure off some of these other guys. That's guys going to have to decide where they're going to put two over the top on Kyle Pitts, on mismatches and things like that. So, but what Giving Game Sports Talk said earlier was the more balanced. That's where I mean by the new look. I think the way this offense should be designed this year, and I think Arthur Smith really is trying to go more of this, have a more balanced offense where, we can pass the ball just as well we can run the ball, which means, yes, you're going to trust your young quarterback to throw the ball more, but all he has to do is get the ball to his playmakers and they can make the plays. So um, I believe Bijan Robinson has the opportunity to be the rookie of the year because of how dynamic he is, and the fact that his other weapons on this offense is going to let Bijan Robinson be as special as we want him to be. Don't want to forget about Cordell Patterson as well. He still has a lot of value for this team. The way they utilize him in 2021 is more. I think the vision that Arthur Smith is going to have for him. Didn't run the ball as much in 2021. It's more like I said, as doing just getting the ball into a playmaker hand. That's what I can see Cordell Patterson doing more of. So that's when I talk about a new look offense. Those are things I definitely want to see in training camp, especially um, where their line Bijan and Robinson at. And go back to my number one point is Kyle Pitts going to be out there and be healthy, because that's what we did not get to see last year on Desmond Ridder in the passing game. His targets in throwing the ball to a guy like Kyle Pitts. That's what we really want to see. So I can't wait to see this new look offense. Um, and people may think we're going to be just run, 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 run. Definitely, we're going to do that because that's our bread and butter. But I believe Desmond Ridder is going to be passing the ball around because you have two dynamic um, pass catchers in Kyle Pitts and Drake London. Drake London only is going to get better, from what he was last year. If you go back to the last 4 games, had over 330 yards with Desmond Ridder. Seemed like the connection, the chemistry is already there. Just to see how much chemistry and connection that they can get with Kyle Pitts. It's going to really be exciting. Let's see here. Yep, I did say the whole team. So yeah, camp battles all over the place, man. That's why training camp is going to be exciting. When we went to training camp last year, I thought about it. And that was one of the most competitive training camps that I had seen in a while for the Atlanta Falcons. That's how you knew. Everybody had those guys going 2-15, but those guys came out with a chip on their shoulders. Everybody was competitive. They was trying to, shut up all the doubters. And I think it's going to be much more the same this year. A lot of people still doubting this team, even though with all the additions that we made. Um, and like I said in one of my earlier videos, you can just feel the vibe around the team. You see Grady Jarrett going around doing his world tour, talking about these Atlanta Falcons. I love it, giving us that national spotlight. But he keep just reminding everybody of how he think this team is going to be, and he keep letting everybody know that everybody believes in our young quarterback Desmond Ridder. Um, my first training camp, I'll be there on the 29th. I will be there too, so um, hope to see you there. I'm definitely going to be there on 20. I'm trying to be there on the 28th and 29th. So um, I never been back to back, so I can't wait to see that. Of course, that 29th, that Saturday is going to be crowded. Um, but I hope to be there both training camps this coming up with new defensive coordinator and new quarterback. This is the new beginning, 100%. Um, they don't know, man. Like it's almost like a new team, which sometimes it take a new team to time to gel and things like that. But since the head coach didn't change, the culture is already there. I think it'll be a little bit quicker for these guys to gel and get together. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Yep, it's probably going to be Secret Weapon. Talking about Janu. Pretty sure that's who you're talking about. Uh, I think Skylar Murray, honestly, might be a big surprise. Yep, because if you think about it, the only thing they let Skylar Miller do when he's with Tampa was run the 9 route. I think he has a little bit more to his game than that, being able to run more routes in the route tree. So I believe believe they'll be able to utilize Scotty Miller a little bit more. If you look at what they did with Lamar the Kids, those some of the things that you definitely look at what Scotty Miller is be able to do. Man, the next thing. Yep. You there? Look at me. I'm definitely going to let everybody know. Can't wait to see you guys. If anybody's going to training camp on the 28th, 29th, definitely be able to wait to see you guys there and show all our excitement, man. Because this is the year Atlanta Falcons going to, start a new thing. Not saying I'm not putting predictions out saying they're going to do the unthinkable like win the Super Bowl, but I think the Atlanta Falcons are going to be really, really good this year. That's just the way I got that feeling for some reason. All right, so guys, that's what I think about the new look offense. I just think it's going to be more balanced, not 50-50. I don't think it's going to be 50-50 because we run the ball too good for that, but more 55-45. Pass run, 55% run, 45 pass. So that's where I think it's going to go. And if we do that, more balance, kind of keep the defense out there, if they don't know what we're going to do. If you go back to my video, one of my videos, I talk about the different formations that I'm excited to see: 21, 22, 12, 13, so many different personnel groupings that Arthur Smith can deploy, and then what he's able to do out of those those personnel, because all the guys that's in that formation has so much versatility, like a Kyle Pitts, like a Bijan Robinson, like a Cordero Patterson, right? Drake London can play inside and outside. Of course, Kyle Pitts can do that as well. So it's just so much versatility with those personnel groupings, and the defense just will be, won't have enough film, especially to start the season to figure out what the Atlanta Falcons are trying to do. Learn how to stop and go on the play action pass. Yeah. Scotty. Ooh. Can you imagine that, man? Scotty Miller, that stop and go. And then think about it. Scotty Miller is the third option, right? So it's going to be one-on-one coverage. Scotty Miller might be the fourth option. Take that back. It could be the fifth option, right? So, I mean, Arthur Smith just got to dial it up. Arthur Smith got a big job this year, not just being the head coach, but the play calling, trying to get all these guys touches and things like that. Of course, it's up to the quarterback to get him the ball, but the way Arthur Smith dialed up the plays and things like that is where it's going to be key. So that's one thing I can't definitely excited to see. All right, guys. Now we're going to talk about the new look defense with the new DC and the additions that was brought on. I can't wait to see this right here. I think Ryan Nielsen is really going to help the defensive front, the trenches. We made so much upgrades to the trenches, man. I just can't wait to see how we able to play against the run. That's one of the things we really struggled at last year, being able to stop the run, especially against teams that love to run the ball, like the Panthers, right? Panthers was a team that really controlled the line of scrimmage, our defensive line of scrimmage, running the ball. The Commanders really controlled the line of scrimmage, running the ball on us. I think that was one of the worst games we had. We was not able to get off the field. Go look at the time possession in that Commanders game. They didn't put up a lot of points, but they hold the ball a long time and kept our offense off the field. So the trenches is one of the biggest things that I'm definitely looking for. If you look at all the additions that was brought in from the trenches, Calais Campbell, of course, Dave Amayada, Taquan Graham coming back is a big deal. Going into his third season, I think he's going to be huge for us. I talked about Eddie Goldman. If he's healthy, he's ready to go. That addition is going to be huge. And now Grady Jarrett actually has some help alongside him. Grady Jarrett, we know he's good for at least 2 or 3 big plays a game, and now just putting those guys out there with him, I think is going to be huge for us. Bringing a guy like Bud Dupree, a Georgia boy coming back, trying to, you know, get his career back on track. I think he's going to be huge as well. It's going to be interesting to see what his role going to be. I think, like I said, I think Arvin Katie is going to be able to be that starter for us. But um, bringing in, Lorenzo and Bud Dupree as backups, in that second rotation, man, it's not a bad thing. So I'm definitely looking at that and see what they're able to do. But Ryan Nielsen, what he's been able to do with defensive linemen throughout these since he was with the Aints over the years, guy like Trey Henderson got him paid. Of course, the Aints, because they kind of lose all their guys because of the way they salary cap, been kind of messed up for the last freaking 6 or 7 seasons. But um, his development with a guy like Trey Henderson, um, I can't wait to see what he's able to do with Armor Ebiketie. Um, what else he can add to a guy, Grady Jarrett's packages, what he's able to do is going to be exciting as well. So, and then if you look at our backside of our um, defense, of course, bringing in a guy like Caden Ellis, who had a breakout season for the Aints last year, I think him and Amayada was really good pickups for the Atlanta Falcons. So I can't wait to see what they're able to do. And then, of course, the big signing that we got, our safety, Jesse Bates the third, just going to solidify that defensive backfield. We know AJ is going into a contract year. Of course, they picked up his fifth-year option, so he could technically play next year on the option, but I believe they're going to probably try to re-sign him. If not during the season, at the beginning of the offseason next year. Um, Jeff Okuda trying to, reinvent his career as well. See what he's able to do, from being the number 3 overall pick. So exciting to see about that. And then the biggest, I think, another big addition, Arthur Smith able to bring Jerry Gray in, who has defensive coordinator position, head coaching experience as well. Bringing him in, to pair him with Ryan Nielsen to be our secondary um, pass 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 defense coordinator is what I really love. Um, Go back and look at what he was able to do with the Green Bay Packers um, over the last couple of seasons. You love to see what he can do with a guy like Jeff Okuda. Um, see that pairing, that new look defense. Know they're probably going to play a little bit more 4-3, and then but I think it's going to be more of a hybrid because of the personnel. Like I said earlier, you have to play the strength of the guys that you have on the team, but you want to be able to utilize a guy like D'Angelo Malone, his strengths, the things he's able to do, right? Um, so definitely can't wait to see this new look defense. Definitely got some questions for that slot position. We talked about that. The camp battle is going to be big. My sleeper for that right now is D. Alford. This guy's putting in work. He's hungry. So my sleeper, believe it or not, is a guy like D. Alford could definitely have opportunity to steal that position from a guy like Mike Hughes, who they brought in on a 2-year deal to actually probably play that slot position. Of course, Clark Phillips, another guy who's seemed like he's just a play ready guy. Of course, he played a lot on the outside when he was in college. People may be thinking because of his side can't do that again, but you never know. Of course, we had a guy like Brent Grimes here, definitely could played at a smaller stature that was really good. So look at a guy like that and see what really happens. So um, this new look defense is going to be interesting. Believe it or not, I'm more excited to watch what our defense does this year than our offense. So, um, and the one thing I want to say, we just talked about the defense, just talked about offense. I think the biggest battle um, that we're going to see at training camp is the trenches. That's where I believe most of the iron and the so-called iron sharpening iron is going to take place. Um, it's those trenches, man. Um, we got a all pro guard on the right side, Chris Lindstrom, going up against guys like Amayada and Grady Jarrett all day. Um, you got Caleb McGarry coming back feeling good, got paid, going up against Armand Katie, Bud Dupree, Jay Matthews going up against Calais Campbell. I think the trenches battle is something that we all should be excited about watching, because those guys working against each other in practice is only going to make us better. So can't wait to see that matchup between our trenches. And of course, the, the all matchup, the stuff that we all get to see is the cornerbacks going up against the receivers, right? Um, Maybe Clark Phillips and Drake London can rekindle some of the old times that they had when they was in the Pac-12. So can't wait to see that. Let's see here. Yes, they do, man. Like it's so many different options you go like. And what I talked about earlier about just a numbers game, bringing in guys like Gaziano, defensive tackle they brought in from the Chargers. Um, the word out he's a pretty good defensive tackle. Not sure if he's going to be able to make the cut, because depending on how many defensive linemen they decide to keep. So that's really going to be interesting to see what guy like um, Gaziano. Um, so guys, let's get into the last topic today. Of course, it is Desmond Ritter, our quarterback, and I think it's about time that we go ahead and just end the discussion and let everybody know this is quarterback one going into training camp, going into game one. Um, he's the guy, right? And it's a lot of talk today on and yesterday on Twitter about Desmond Ritter. People still talking about maybe the Falcons should just um, tank to go out and get Caleb Williams, or they should go ahead and trade for a guy like Ryan Tannehill, or trade for a guy like Trey Lance, whatever the case may be. Um, like Desmond Ritter just played so terrible last year, to the fact where the Atlanta Falcons don't know what they're doing for some reason. Um, that Arthur Smith and Terry Fontenot, they drafted the guy, they had him for an entire season, had him in the clubhouse, know what kind of character he is, know how much work he put in, and they decide to start him 4 games. Now, you can argue, and a lot of people probably would agree with you, that maybe they should have started him earlier, you know, because Marcus Mariota was not taking us anywhere. If you put in perspective, Atlanta Falcons won 7 games total last year. Desmond Ritter won 2 of those games. So in 13 games, Marcus Mariota only won 5. So maybe that's the mistake you can pick. If you want to pick a mistake, Arthur Smith is waiting too long to go ahead and see what they had and the young quarterback Desmond Ritter. But that's exactly the point I really want to make. The fact that he only has played 4 games, so that is not enough time to evaluate any young player um, in the game to decide if he can actually be the guy for you or not. And the point that he did not play as bad as people try to make it seem like he played is really just, I just don't understand the whole I just don't understand why people don't like Desmond Ritter, because he was a third round pick. The where a guy picked in the draft should not matter at all. I think we should know that by now. I mean, you hate to keep talking about Tom Brady, but we know, he did not get picked in the first round, and people consider him the GOAT, right? We know about so many great players that did not get picked in the first round. Um, that's in the Hall of Fame. I just talked about Shannon Sharp, right? So where guys picked that in the draft, and if that's your measuring stick that he didn't get picked in the first round, he's not going to be that good. That's not the case, right? You can make the case that sometimes a guy go to the perfect situation and it pans out for him. Look at a guy like Brock Purdy, right? Picked last in the draft, Mister Irrelevant himself, right? Went to the perfect situation, got picked by the San Francisco 49ers with a great offensive coordinator who knows how to make it easy for his quarterbacks, right? Brock Purdy was in a perfect situation. Brock Purdy get picked by another team might not look the same, right? That's why I think Desmond Ritter went to the perfect spot with a guy like Arthur Smith. Um, and you got to give Arthur Smith his credit because he stayed patient. He could have started him at the beginning of the season, right? Had Marcus Mariota be the backup, but he decided to let him develop, right? That used to be a thing in the NFL back in the day where they let quarterbacks sit for a season and develop. Now it's to the point where no quarterback, no young quarterback gets a chance to develop, and they come out, they have a bad outing, and then they ready to already throw those guys to the wolf. You look at what they did to Malik Willis, played 3 games last year, and they went out and drafted another quarterback. Right? It's no way. And now I take it back because they had him in the building the whole year. Maybe they saw they need to see. Right? That's why they decide to go ahead and pick Will Levis. But the word on the street, Malik Willis is actually outplaying Will Levis. But that should be expected because Malik Willis already had a whole entire season, and Will Levis just coming in as a rookie, right? But the problem is today in NFL, everybody's so quick to get rid of these guys, throw these guys out as trash. Peyton Manning played his entire first season. Didn't play. He played a throw a lot of interceptions. They saw the potential, but they didn't care about his mistakes because they know he was going to eventually get it. He did. One of the best quarterbacks ever, right? Got a nickname the Sheriff, right? You look at a guy like Troy Aikman, 1-15 the first season, 3 Super Bowls. So let's get back to, you know, letting these coaches develop their guys in their system and to see what they're able to do. That's what we're trying to do with Desmond Ritter. He only played 4 games. It's no way that anybody, no scouts outside of that building can really say that Desmond Ritter does not have what it takes. And obviously, the guys inside the building, coaches, staff, players, and all believe in him 100%. They keep saying it. They could be just, blowing smoke up all our butts, but they giving this young man confidence. We should all do the same. We were not in the meetings rooms all season last season with Desmond Ritter. We don't know his progression. We don't know where he started at and where he finished at when Arthur Smith decided that he was going to go ahead and put him in. What we did see, those 4 games, he got better each week. On third and fourth downs, he was really, really poised. He made big throws on all those downs. And yes, somebody mentioned that he didn't throw a touch. He only threw 2 touchdowns in 4 games. That doesn't matter how many touchdowns he threw. That's that's stats for TVs and things like that. What you want to see is a young quarterback, the progression that he made, learning the speed of the game, learning how to read defenses. Is he able to stand in the pocket and take a hit and don't get, quick feet? Is he turning the ball over a lot? Is he acting nervous? We didn't see none of that from Desmond Ritter. That's the kind of things that I'm talking about when you're talking about a guy like Desmond Ritter. We have to give Desmond Ritter a chance. That's all we asking, right? If he played this season and he does not pan out, guess what, guys? He was picked in the 3rd round. And what I'm saying is, it's not a big value. They didn't lose a lot of money. They didn't lose a lot of draft capital, right? He was picked in the 3rd round. It's a win-win for the Atlanta Falcons because if he pans out 2 more seasons, they got a young quarterback who's They considering that franchise quarterback to build a team around him. That's what we like. This is a perfect situation for the Atlanta Falcons. And Arthur Smith is not on the hot seat. He's not. This is the right move. You drafted a quarterback that you believe in. It's let him play to see does he have what it takes to be our guy. That's what this season is all about. That's what it's all about. It's not. It's we want to win. I believe we're going to win. I just said that. I think it's going to be something special. But this season is to see can Desmond Ridder, a quarterback that's on a cheap contract that we can build around him, can he win? Look what the Seattle Seahawks did. Drafted Russell Wilson in the third round, went to 2 Super Bowls. That's what I'm talking about. That's what we want to see from Desmond Ridder. If he can do that and be the guy we want to be, we got 3 first-round picks that we pick. Those guys got to be able to produce. Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London, right? That's the capital. That's what you want to look at. If those guys don't live up to the hype, that's where the Atlanta Falcons failed. Desmond Ridder's third-round pick, right? This is his year to prove that he can fit in. That's why you see all the posters and the pictures and stuff. Nobody's even putting the quarterback on the pictures, right? They putting the skill position players, which is rightfully so. Those guys were picked 4th, 8th, and 8th in the back-to-back season. So those guys are the superstars. Desmond Ridder needs to just come out, play well, do his things, and show everybody that he can be that guy. But he only played 4 games. So it's no way that he should be getting this much heat from anybody. No analyst can look at Desmond Ridder and say he does not have what it takes out of those 4 games. Not one analyst can say that. That's what this season is all about. This season is about Desmond Ridder to come in and show. And trust me, guys, he got a chip on his shoulder. He been hearing it all. He been hearing it all off season. And he just keep hearing it. He probably just writing it down. Check. This guy is a winner. You've seen it. If you watched 2 years ago when he played the Georgia Bulldogs, he probably could have beat those guys, right? But Georgia defensive line finally stood up and took him out. Went to the college football playoff. Alabama defensive line, they overmatched him. He had never had a chance, but he made plays in that game. You go back and look at that game against Alabama. He made plays. He just needs this talent around him, right? He's not a perfect quarterback, but no rookie quarterback is perfect. But we ain't even getting him a chance. That's what I'm saying. I get it. Everybody want to go. Trey Lance. People talking about Trey Lance. Trey Lance played 13 games in college. It was going to be a bumpy road for him. But now they want to throw Trey Lance out. That's what I'm saying. They're not giving these quarterbacks opportunity to develop. Who would expect a guy that played 13 games in college to come out and be an all-pro quarterback in his first season in NFL? Right? It's not going to happen. Peyton Manning played 4 seasons. Tom Brady played 4 seasons in college. They was more mature. They were more polished. They had a lot of snaps. That's what Desmond Ridder has. He has a lot of snaps. Believe me, he's more ahead than some of these guys because he had all those snaps in college. It's going to benefit him. This one season sitting behind Marcus Mariota, how painful it could have been for all of us, benefited him. So let's get behind Desmond Ridder, guys. 4 games. It's no way that in 4 games we thought Desmond Ridder was going to freaking show you that he was Peyton Manning. He was Joe Montana. He was a rookie. It took Kenny Pickett 12 games to start playing better. He threw 9 interceptions. He threw 7 in his first 4 games. Think about it. He threw 7 interceptions in his first 4 games, right? He got picked in the first round. Kenny Pickett had to figure it out. He started to play better towards the end of the season. That's what you're going to see. Brock Purdy, perfect situation, came out and played lights out, went 7-1, right? That's what we want Desmond Ritter. Put him in a perfect situation. Great running game. Hopefully, solid defense. Does not ask we not ask him to do too much. Give him the perfect plays, perfect passes to get him started on rhythms. Find the big weapons he got and Mac Hollins, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, right? With catch range out of the yin yang, right? Don't overthrow Kyle Pitts like the quarterback from last year did. How can you overthrow Kyle Pitts? Did it a lot of times, but that's what I'm talking about. Let's give Desmond Ritter a chance, right? That's why I had wanted to have leave it last, right? I'm passionate about this, and I'm tired of everybody just going out shitting on the guy when he only played 4 games in the season. And if anybody knows anything about football, it takes more than that to decide whether a guy can be the. I mean, he could have went out and played lights out for 4 games. Doesn't mean he was going to be great, right? Because there's still only 4 game sample size. You got to give him time. Let's find out. He got weapons around him. He has opportunity to do the things he's going to do. That's what we want to see. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go through some of these comments. He said, would you rather bench the kid if those were the first 4 games, not the last 4 games? No, I would not have benched him. Think about it. He went 2-2. You wouldn't have benched him. Like I just said, Kenny Pickett was picked 20 overall. He threw 7 interceptions in the 4 games, right? That's what he did. Go back and look at it. Are you going to bench him? No, he's a rookie. He's still learning the game. You're not going to bench him. No, you're not. What's good, Racone? What's going on, Wallace? Putting Ritter in was a can't turn back moment. So the later the better for us. Exactly. We could have thrown him out there to the wolves, guys. And was he ready? We don't really know how ready he was. Don't really know. I think he was ready by the Carolina game because we was ready as a fan base. We was all tired of Marcus Mariota. So if he was ready or not, that Carolina game, it was time to put him in. So I think we all can agree with that. Yep, like you say, he would not have been benched. Exactly. Uncle Steve, what's going on? What's up, Rakona? Next to Drake Kyle, who will pick third most catches on the team? That's a great question. It's a great question. That's a great question. I don't think it's gonna be a receiver though. I don't want to say Bijan because that'd just be like a homer pick, right? Because they're going to use him a lot out of the backfield. Um, let's say since Arthur Smith love his tight ends, let's say Jonnu Smith. Since Arthur Smith love to utilize tight ends, maybe Jonnu Smith have the second most catches, third most catches behind those two guys. Yep, they wouldn't have benched him. Ritter was picked third round because other teams that was drafting in the top 10 didn't need a quarterback, and we took a chance being got. You know what? Right, because if you go back and look at the mock drafts, and you take the mock drafts with a grain of salt, but a lot of people thought we were going to pick him in the second round, right? Everybody thought we was going to pick a quarterback in the second round. It just so happened that he dropped to the third, and we honestly for Desmond Ritter, I think it was the best thing for him. I knew he was upset sitting there, with the family at the wait a day before he got picked, right? But like I said, man, in NFL, in any sports, a lot of times you think about it, your situation you go to is always a factor to how good your career be, right? Because you can go to a screwed up situation like they almost got Justin Fields, man. Think about it. Justin Fields 2 seasons, 2 different offensive coordinators. Justin Field almost got set up, but you know, he played well enough that they decided to stick with him. Because remember all the talk the start of the offseason, people was thinking the Chicago Bears was going to draft a quarterback, right? Because they was talking about trading Justin Fields and things like that. So, you go to a situation and you don't want to go to a team that's so bad. Like I mentioned the other day, a guy like David Carr, right? Not Derek Carr, David Carr, Derek's brother. He went to the Texans and he just got beat up. Beat up. He just got beat up. And then that's when he started seeing ghosts, right? He never was able to get opportunity to develop because the team was so bad that he just took a beating, man. Just took a beating that first season and never could get on track. That's what you don't want that to happen to your quarterback, right? I mean, guy that's was lighting it up in college and he come into pros and just take a beating. He's like, what the hell is this? So that's what you got to think about. That's one of the things. You say Hollins? Yeah, I mean, it could be Hollins. Definitely could be Hollins. I agree with you on that. Could definitely be Hollins. Could be number three. Um, he had a breakout season last year. Um, just the question. I think when we think about this question more than anything is Arthur Smith, how he's going to call the game. Um, because there's so many different targets and weapons that could be utilized on this team. I mean, like I just mentioned, a guy like Scotty Miller could be like fifth option on some plays, um, because of all the other talented guys they have on the field at the time, right? We know each play have a first read, second read, and then you go through the progressions. That's how it's set up. Um, most times, first read is going to be the Kyle Pitts or Drake London, right? We already know that. Um, but it depends on how well Desmond Ritter knows offense, right? He can already read something, and that'll change right away, right? If the first read is Kyle Pitts, but if he sees they playing high safety over the top, right? That read is probably already dead, so he already knows it's somebody got one on the backside, or some going off to your drop off in the back, throwing it to your back, right? And that could be really dangerous, right? If Bijan is that guy, um, your check down guy is Bijan Robinson, so that could be really something special. So depends on the way Arthur Smith want to call the game. Um, if he go to a lot of passing, Matt Hollins, the way he played last year, another big guy that you can just throw it up, can go up and make contested catches as well. Um, don't see why he couldn't be the guy. Wallace, Racondo, we didn't hear them say anything about Mahomes when he only played one game in his rookie year. I try not. Yeah, he had zero touchdown, one interception. I try not to bring up Patrick Mahomes because I really thought about that as well. He only played, you know, that one game the entire season, right? Because everybody, are you trying to compare Desmond Ritter to Patrick Mahomes? No, not trying to compare Desmond Ritter to Patrick Mahomes, but Andy Reid had it the right way. Remember, they picked Patrick Mahomes in the top 11, top 10 pick, something like that, and then he sat out the entire season. Right? That's a great point. So they did not rush him. They let him sit behind, learn the offense. And if you go back to Patrick Mahomes, he said he didn't really know how to read defenses to what, third season. I mean, that just show you how great Patrick Mahomes is as well. Because then he know how to read defenses, but was still going to AFC championships games and going to the Super Bowl is just amazing. But you know, that's a great point. He sat behind, and learned the game, learned the speed of the game, and then the last game of the season, they wanted to see what he had. That's the perfect example of a guy that sat behind. I want to talk about Aaron Rodgers. How many years Aaron Rodgers sat behind Brett Favre, right? Um, so guys, what I'm trying to say is about Desmond Ritter, and I'm gonna end on this, is that we definitely have to give the young man a chance to go out and prove either way. We have to give him a chance to prove either way. Now, with the roster we have, I know a lot of people keep saying it. Um, we got a good backup that's gameplay ready. Taylor Heineke, it seems like every time he comes to the team, he end up being the starter because the starter get hurt for some reason, especially when he's with the Commanders. Knock on wood, we don't want that to happen with Desmond. But the question is, how many games should Desmond start this year? And just say he just plays bad. Like, it could happen, right? Like I said, guys, he only played 4 games. We don't know, right? But I think he deserves the opportunity to prove himself either way. But the question is, with the team we got, the roster we have, um, how long do Arthur Smith give him to prove himself? And I hate to talk about the bad things because I'm a glass half full kind of guy. I don't like looking at if something doesn't go the way we think it's going to go. But you know, you have to think about it. That's what this game is all about. One thing about sports, it's nothing is guaranteed, right? Um, think about this today. Think about the offense, like the greatest show on turf. 3 seasons, right? One of the most prolific offenses ever. Just it was just so great. They only won one Super Bowl, right? So it's nothing guaranteed in professional sports. That's why you get out and play the game. That's why the whole cliche, any given Sunday, is out there. And that's what it says. So this the reason why um, when we talk about Desmond Ritter, we got to let it play out. That's all I'm saying, right? We so quick to be looking for the next best thing, and instead of just looking at the opportunity that's right in front of us. That's where we at right now. Let Desmond Ritter get out here and let him see what he got, right? And I'm gonna end with this. Grady mentioned that the confident, that's the one word he would use when he think about Desmond Ritter. I can see that. I can see that 100%. He seems confident. He seems, not rattled, not worried about getting out there. Because you know why? Guys, he has played a lot of football. He has played a lot of football. Go ask the guys. Go ask the people in Cincinnati. Desmond Ritter is like king up there because what he did for that college. You know, he turned that franchise that program around at Cincinnati. Right, got those guys in the college football playoffs. That never really happens. So we got to tip our hat off to Desmond Ritter. Played a lot of games. Seems confident. Seems comfortable. Um, and I believe with the team that's put around him, like I said, great situation. He's going to be able to shine and do some good things. So, guys, that's all I got. Went over an hour on this, but I'm excited talking about training camp. Um, I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave your comments, things like that. What you think? What you can't wait to see. Like I said, can't wait to see you guys on the 28th and the 29th at training camp. We'll be out there looking at our new Falcons and see what these guys are going to be able to do. Please go out, like, and subscribe to the channel. Tell everybody else to come in and kick it with your boy, Ricondo, coming at you with another video. Peace.